Sean Myers of the Westmoreland Sports Network, now joined by the new head coach of the Greensburg Central Catholic boys basketball team, Christian Hyland. Christian, congratulations. First off, what was your reaction when you heard that you were officially the next head coach of the Centurions?
Well, first off, I appreciate it. I've known for a little while now. I've known since about last year about when Doc said he was going to come back for a year. We kind of had it figured out back then that this would be what's going to happen. But to see those first couple of links on Twitter and to see that article in the paper, it was kind of surreal. I've been talking to family and friends about this for the past 4 or 5 years. That this is something that I always wanted to do was coach, and especially to coach at your alma mater. It's something really special.
Now, you mentioned that you kind of knew this was the plan, and of course, Coach Bizignani certainly recommended you. How did you approach this past year as an assistant, knowing that it was really kind of your last chance to prepare for becoming the head coach?
Being under Doc's wing for 4 years as a player and then another 3 years as a coach, I just really tried to soak in everything that he was doing. The lessons that he taught the kids, that he taught myself and the rest of the staff. I just tried to open my eyes to the things that were happening around me. There's no one better to learn from than Coach Biz. Obviously, his record speaks for itself. But aside from basketball, he's just a great person overall. And if I'm half the man that Doc Biz is, then I hope people see me as a pretty good man.
What was maybe the biggest aspect that you learned from him as a coach? Not when you played for him, but as an assistant. What is the biggest key that he taught you that you're going to have to use as your coaching career begins?
He just, from the time I stepped onto his staff, really the only thing that he told me from the get-go was to be myself. And he knew who I was as a player, and I think he knew how that could translate to, helping him and helping the rest of the staff, as well as part of the whole basketball program here at Greensburg Central. He just really told me to be myself, and like I said, I did that, and just tried to learn from him.
What does your experience as a player mean to you now as a coach? Because you were very talented and very successful during your time as a player at GCC as well.
Being a player and having the experiences that I had from the youth all the way up through AAU and through high school and then on to college, I got to play against some really good talent. Some guys that are gone on to, play Division I basketball. Some guys that are my age that are actually up for the NBA draft and stuff this year, which is pretty exciting to see and pretty cool. And, I just had some great experience. I played against really good talent. And when you play against good talent, you really get to see the game at a high level. And, being a point guard, you have to know the situation at all times. I studied a lot of film in my day. I studied a lot of film about, when I was here at GCC, and I still continue to do that. So I'm learning, but I just tried to take in everything I could.
Now, you mentioned your age and players now potentially being up for the NBA draft. You're only 5 years removed from high school, correct?
Yeah. Kind of crazy to think about, but yeah.
So, with that being said, what are the positives to being so young, and what are maybe some of the negatives that you might encounter?
I guess I'll start with the negatives. Some of the negatives, I know people will probably look at the sideline and see a young kid that knows he's got a baby face, probably doesn't think he knows the game that well. I know there's going to be that, but I know with the preparation that I've put in the past couple of years, preparation that I put in as a player, and I think that'll translate pretty well to coaching these guys up at Greensburg Central. And then for the positives, I really think having a young guy, at any level in any sport, the level of energy is going to be pretty high. Not saying that it wasn't in the past, but once you get a new face in there, and have a guy that's pretty young and upbeat and able to, relate to the kids just a little bit more. These kids are 16, 17, 18 years old, and I'm only 23, so I kind of understand the social aspect of what today's world is. I'm kind of in that that age group where I still understand what they're going through and kind of the things they like, the video games they like, where they like to hang out with friends and stuff like that. So, I can relate to these guys.
As far as the staff that you'll have with you, do you have some more veteran guys in mind to assist you?
Well, Eddie Zimmerlink, who was on staff with Coach Biz and I and Coach Dave Palsic, he's going to return with me as well. And then I'm still in the process of, finding an assistant coach that I know will help me as well.
Last year was a pretty good year for GCC. Team made the playoffs, had a very impressive regular season, but 5 seniors, all of whom were key contributors, moved on. What expectations do you have for this squad returning in 2019-20?
Well, the expectations are high. I mean, we have, I want to say 6 or 7 seniors that are going to be here this year, and most of them saw manageable minutes for us and contributed at a high level for us last year. And so those guys are going to step right in, and I think they'll be able to take some of our younger guys under their wing. We have an athletic group, and I think that'll help our soon-to-be juniors and sophomores, really develop their games as well.
I know you said that you think it's a real strength that you can relate to these kids, and certainly you've been around them the last handful of years. But as a head coach, maybe strategically or X's and O's, is there anything that you plan to change from Coach Bizignani?
There will definitely be some things that are different. I'm sure, like all head coaches and assistant coaches, not everything is 100% is the same if they were to take over, but we'll still do a lot of the same things. I really like some of the sets that Coach Biz had in the past that he used with my team in 2014, and then some of the stuff that he still used till this past year. So some of that stuff will be the same. Definitely do some things different that I think will work. But overall, it'll be the same, but a little bit of sprinkle of difference in there too.
When you were a player, in particular a senior with Greensburg Central Catholic, you made it to the WPAL championship game. You made it far in the state tournament as well. Did you realize then that this was a possibility or something that you wanted to pursue, becoming a head coach, and in particular replacing Coach Bizignani?
Well, I always knew I wanted to be around the game. I mean, I love the game. I didn't know in what aspect particularly that would be. I went into college and played my freshman year and decided, that college basketball really wasn't for me. And then I went into, my sophomore year of college thinking, how can I still be involved in the game? And I prayed about it. I talked about it with my family, and I decided that, I think this coaching thing might work out for me. And so I went to Coach Biz. He was kind enough to let me on the staff. And from there, I kind of just ran with it and, tried to learn as much as I could, study as much as I could. I think it was then I decided that I wanted to be a coach.
And last question for you. Certainly a lot of people around Greensburg Central Catholic already know a lot about you. They're familiar with you. But what message do you have to the fan base, the students, the staff, the parents, everyone involved with Greensburg Central Catholic?
Well, I think the message that I would have for them is Central is one big family as it is already. I mean, everyone pretty much knows everyone who went to school here, who graduated from here. And I want to continue that for our Central family. I want, the alumni to come to games, guys that graduated, 30 years ago, the guys who graduated last year. And I want that Central basketball family to be one big unit, as well as the people who, who maybe not are part of the basketball program, but, have a love for Central. I'll open them with open arms if they want to be a part of our program and support us. I'm all for that.
Christian Hyland, the new head coach of the Greensburg Central Catholic Centurions basketball team. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.